is a reading from the first book of Kings. In those days, Elijah the prophet went to Zarephath. As he arrived at the entrance of the city, a widow was gathering sticks out. He called out to her, "Please bring me a small cupful of water to drink." She left to get it, and he called out after her, "Please bring along a bit of bread." She answered, "As the Lord your God lives, I have nothing baked. There's only a handful of flour in my jar and a little oil in my jug. Just now I was collecting a couple of sticks to go in and prepare something for myself and my son. When we have eaten it, we shall die." Elijah said to her, "Do not be afraid. Go and do as you propose. But first make me a little cake and bring it to me. Then you can prepare something for yourself and your son. For the Lord, the God of Israel, says, 'The jar of flour shall not go empty, nor the jug of oil run dry, until the day when the Lord sends hope upon the earth.'" She left and did as Elijah had said. She was able to eat for a year, and he and her son as well. The jar of flour did not go empty, nor the jug of oil run dry, as the Lord had foretold through Elijah. This is the word of the Lord. My hands, a copy of the true one, but heaven itself, that he might now appear before God on our behalf. Not that he might offer himself repeatedly, as the high priest enters each year into the sanctuary with blood that is not his own. If that were so, he would have had to suffer repeatedly from the foundation of the world. But now, once for all, he has appeared at the end of the ages to take away sin by his sacrifice. Just as it is appointed that human beings die once, and after this the judgment, so also Christ, offered once to take away the sins of many, will appear a second time, not to take away sin, but to bring salvation to those who eagerly await him. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
In the course of his teaching, Jesus said to the crowds, "Beware of the scribes, who like to go around in long robes and accept greetings in the marketplaces, seats of honor in synagogues, and places of honor at banquets. They devour the houses of widows and as a pretext recite lengthy prayers. They will receive a very severe condemnation." He sat down opposite the treasury and observed how the crowd put money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums. A poor widow came and put in 2 small coins worth a few cents. Calling his disciples to himself, he said to them, "Amen, I say to you, this poor widow put in more than all the other contributors to the treasury. For they have all contributed from their surplus wealth. But she, from her poverty, has contributed all she had, her whole livelihood." This, my friends, is the gospel according to Mark. Praise to the Lord. Please be seated. Last week at this time, of course, we were marking a difficult time for us, the funeral of our great friend Bridget, inviting Jim and his family. And it was quite an honor to be able to do that, and so many people in our church community were so involved in making that a true lamentation and celebration of Bridget's life. So I thank you, all of you, for the great work and support that you did. Bridget's family were extremely pleased about how things unfolded. And that's a great blessing. And that's what families do in times of difficulty. And in our gospel reading today, we have really a magnificent message. Jermaine had asked me earlier in the week whether I planned on talking about Remembrance Day. And I often said that after my dad died, I would tell a lot about his story. But it's a very challenging story to tell, and I'm not quite ready to do so yet. However, there's always a however, isn't there? I think this gospel today speaks to us pretty loudly about giving. And I did some research on the scribes of the time period Jesus was talking about. And Jesus said, you know, they go into the marketplace and accept greetings. And what does that mean? Well, you see, when they went into the marketplace, into the public areas, the tradition was that you spoke to them because they were better educated than you. So it was a sign of you recognizing their superiority. I thought, oh, wow, and they used to do this quite often to win and sort of have their egos massaged. Oh, wow, that is not good. And in the synagogue, they had the best places, as Jesus says. Honor, seats of honor in the synagogue. Those seats of honor happen to be the most comfortable seats in the synagogue. So they would go in and have the best seats in the synagogue. And of course, it says that Jesus was near the treasury and he observed people putting money into the treasury. There were guidelines given about money and so on. And the wealthy people, as Jesus said, put in a lot, but it wasn't taking away from what they had. It was convenient. And here's the widow who comes along. And what does she have to offer? Really her 2 cents worth. She puts that in. And for her, economically, that hurt. That's a great message. She gave all that she could give. So, as I thought more and more about this, I looked at Canadian soldiers during World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and soldiers in general. And what did they do? They gave what they had. And it wasn't a marginal gift. Some of them gave a lot. They gave their lives. But they all gave their service. And I think back to my grandfather and what he did. Frank Ho was his name. Frank joined up because it was the right thing to do. And he survived being wounded, he survived being gassed, he survived being rich, and a lot of the places that I visited, which were horrible places. And I told you, I think before, about how he tried to cope. Don't worry about the little ones communicating, that's fine. Not a problem whatsoever. He never expected much. When he returned, he wouldn't even lobby to get a pension. I think he got something like $4 a month. My dad went off and at the age of 16 signed up and sort of grew up in World War II in Europe. But he never asked for huge recognition when he came back. Now, mind you, he did lobby for his pension, but he did not expect any great gratitude. And I use those 2 examples because as Canadians, they help us understand sometimes we have to personalize things. And they're not the exceptions. My dad and my grandfather weren't the exceptions. They were the norm. And just like this widow goes into the temple, she's not expecting adulation or anything like that. She gives because it's the right thing to do. And that's what ordinary soldiers did. They gave of themselves because it's the right thing to do. Canada's reputation as a peacekeeping country, our peacekeeping forces. It's one of our hardest jobs militarily in the world, because you don't go in guns a-blazing. You go in with a hand of friendship. And I don't think it's an accident that Canada gained that reputation. And why? Because it was the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. And when they come back, the vets came back from the First War, Second War, Korean War, various conflicts, UN peacekeeping missions. When they came back, they didn't want huge parades or anything. They were like the widow. They made their contribution, and then they returned. That says a whole lot about us as a country. That says a whole lot about us as a nation. Because it sounds corny almost, but that's the Canadian way. That's what we do. And as I look into our church community and what we did last Sunday, that's what we do. And it's not a matter of adulation or anything like that. Why do we do it? It's the right thing to do. And so when Jesus talks about the widow, he's simply saying to people, she's doing the right thing. And one of the most unpowerful people, if you want to use that, or if I can use that term, widows in that society were, well, they were above slaves, but really not even too much. Because they had no land ownership, they had nothing. They were at the disposal of generosity of those around them. So this lady takes something, the only thing she has really to give, and she gives it. I think that's such a wonderful story. And we know, as a church community, when we get together and we give, how rewarding that is. It's the reward of the feeling of the Spirit. And it's not the reward of me standing up here saying, I'll use Jermaine, oh, Jermaine gave $20 to something last week. It's not that whatsoever. We do it because it's the right thing to do. And Jesus tells us that. Do the right thing, and you'll be rewarded. And it's not like an investment where you get money back. It's a spiritual investment where your soul feels good. And for that feeling, I guess you can say to some extent, we become veterans of the gospel. And that, my friends, is a great feeling. And let's have a big amen.